This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded on March 18th, 2012. Episode 87, with guest Ian Danaher, Nascent, Nonolith, Numquid.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
And I'm Ian Danaher of Nonolith Labs.
Hey Ian, welcome to our humble podcast.
Why, thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Excellent. And Chris, give us the background on Ian.
I was going to let him give his background.
I don't know.
Well.
Oh, go
So,
Ian.
I'm kind of lazy here, Dave. I don't know
Oh, okay.
who you've been talking to for the past couple 86 episodes, but...
Right. Oh, well, Ian.
Ian, please, though, take it away.
So, yeah, I am an electrical engineering student turned entrepreneur. I've been sort of mucking around the open education world since halfway through high school. And now I have co-founded a open source hardware educational startup, which, I mean, kind of a recipe for disaster there because hardware and education are notoriously difficult to, bootstrap with, but here we are. We're pulling it off.
That's pretty great. And,
Fantastic.
And so you're actually an entrepreneur in the actual term of it, not just someone who calls himself an entrepreneur.
Oh, I was going to say, it's a dodgy term.
That's a rough term.
A lot of people, it's like the death term, to call yourself an entrepreneur.
But I think I would actually refer to Ian as an entrepreneur. I mean...
I've pitched in front of VCs, but I do my own taxes, and
All right.
that's about as close as you can get.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
So you have pitched this idea to VCs. It's that serious. You're that serious about it. Why the decision to do that instead of just bootstrapping and making and keeping it all yourself and making the money on your own?
So that's where we wound up. It's been a kind of fantastic learning process. We started out last June.
Who's we, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer. Good question.
My co-founder, one of my best friends, Kevin Mihal. I met him through Olin College, but we care about the same things and we have complementary skill sets. So we're going it alone together. So
into
because
space.
You failed with the VCs?
Yeah.
Do tell.
So, all right. So this started out with an idea. We had played around with sort of the homebrew source measure unit that one of my professors at Olin had put together. And we liked it, but it was kind of shoddy around the edges. I'm pretty sure he's not a listener of the show. But
it'll find its way back. Don't worry. It always does.
he had built it because he needed it and hadn't gone through to revise the design because, he's busy managing projects for DARPA. And so Kevin and I were a big fan of it. It's a big fan of source measure units done cost effectively rather than sort of the 10 grand Keithley units.
Right, which is which is the kind I've used before, and I do like them, but they are out of the reach of the normal consumer and definitely the student. Yeah. So that
we're not going to take on Keithley. We're going to provide a different sort of tool for exploring the world.
I was hoping you would say that we're not going to take on Keithley, we're going to bury them.
Well, sorry to disappoint there.
No.
No, I have ambitions, but they're not quite that lofty.
Right.
So, so we went at it with a project description. We wanted to build a device that could source current, measure voltage, vice versa, and do it quickly and cheaply. And then we wanted to use it to, charge cell phone batteries, figure out exactly what the capacity of those cheap Chinese LiPos is, figure out what temperature light bulbs actually run at, and of course sort our junk bins.
Yeah, that's a good use. I'm sure that plays near and dear to the hearts of our listeners.
Yeah.
What the heck do I have in my junk bin?
Oh yeah, well, when you're actually sitting there with a hot plate pulling apart an old radio, half the parts on there don't even have part numbers on them.
Yep.
And so telling your 3-pin temperature detector or your 3-pin temperature sensor from your TO92 diode is nearly impossible. And so it works for that. You can use a multimeter for a quarter of it. You can use a oscilloscope and power supply for the rest, but I travel a lot and don't want to carry around a bunch of beige boxes with a bunch of knobs.
Yeah. And so the ultimate goal is to eventually even make it curve traceable, right? I mean, that's kind of the ultimate goal.
Well, the ultimate goal is to make it do everything and do it well. Curve tracing is on the list, and actually, Chris, I don't know whether I sent you, but the screenshots of where I hacked together the Python script to throw together plots for the 2N3904, the just standard NPN diode that we shipped with all the Cs from our Kickstarter campaign. So yeah, back to the situation at hand. So we had an idea. We knew that it had a lot of potential for education because we'd both used sort of its inspiration to teach ourselves a lot more things than our professors were using it for. And we got flown out to Palo Alto and, played the game for a little bit, pitched in for Imagine K-12, a big education-themed firm. And it turns out they really aren't interested in hardware.
So they actually flew you out, did they?
They flew us out, but after they mulled it over, or we pitched, they mulled it over. Our demo failed the first time around.
Awesome.
Yeah, no. Well, it turns out that you need to make sure that you have things cached that you thought you had cached. And, well, we pulled it off about, a minute 30 through the 5-minute pitch.
Oh, man.
Right. So
the panic mode button.
Not quite the nick of time. Yeah. But, yeah, major props to that goes for Kevin there, who pulled us out while I talked away at a mile a minute.
Awesome. So just a quick question. How did you approach? Did you just look for VC companies on the web and then get their email and send them an email and say, hey, we got this?
We knew what we wanted to do, which was a tool that would let you explore the world better. And for education, Imagine K-12 took the Y Combinator, the sort of big famous app model, and applied it to education. They each had their own personal fortunes from their days at Yahoo and wherever else they were. And they wanted to try and bring the same sort of team approach to the education field. And so we were like, we don't really want to go down this path, but we'll give it a shot. We wound up being flown out there. They decided they didn't want to give it a shot. And so we finally settled on Kickstarter because the real appeal of Kickstarter is you have an idea. It's a very well-defined idea. There's none of this ambiguous 7% stake in whatever you might do for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So real quick on the Imagine K-12 too. So you guys were the only hardware there. I mean, what was
we were
the other was app based or actual?
Oh yeah, we were the only hardware there, probably by a mile. There were a lot of people with some kind of spectacular looking iPad apps. There were some people working on better course management systems. But at least in our interview session, we were one of three. We were the only hardware, and they as much as said it in our email that we were the only hardware people who presented.
Cool. Well, that's and sad at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say
because everything's software, because that's what everyone comes out of. That's what everyone has an idea for.
Software scales.
It does.
That's what they said to us.
Cheap-ish.
Software is cheap. It's cheap, and you can make millions off of a couple of months' effort if it's the right couple of months.
And you don't have to make anything. And making stuff's a pain in the ass.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sitting and figuring out why your loop is oscillating when it crosses 2 volts.
Right. Yeah, that's
and
just crazy.
That you didn't stabilize things. And your phase is... Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
It's hard.
This kind of leads me to a rant I had this week. So there was this South by Southwest festival that they showcased a lot of apps and stuff like that, but they kind of took the software thing to an extreme, and they had something called a startup bus.
Yeah, the startup bus. I'm pretty sure was parked outside the concert I was at last night. I'm in Austin
that's right
now.
You're in Austin. That's right.
Not for South by, but I'm pretty sure they were there.
And like, I love the idea of it. You know, I love the idea that it's like, you know, entrepreneurship and, you know, that's a good thing, right? But like, it's all like app development. And I first heard about it from this Ben Brown who wrote about it. And it just sounds really trite. I mean, like, it's like startups just to be a startup, and you know, like all these apps are not useful at all, and it's so I have to say, I mean, like, that's one thing. You know, I've been talking to Ian for a while now, but that's one thing that I'm always impressed with hardware startups, because I mean, aside from the fact that I like hardware, right? Because there is, you know, there's a lot more to it, and you really have to be dedicated to it. You know, you can't put it together on a bus, right?
And why do you have to call yourself a startup? Like, I'm here, like, I've been producing kits for 20 years, right, off and on. I've never called myself a freaking startup. I'm just making some kits, you know?
Yeah, that's a long startup, Dave.
No, it's just, sometimes I get sick of it. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to form a startup. Well, just make your product. You don't have to call yourself anything. Just
no, that's a good point.
Get out there, make it, and sell it. That's it.
The thing is, it's a full-time endeavor. And when you're doing hardware, the costs for development, for making your product and doing it and selling it, are a lot more than they are for making your app and doing it.
But that's why you can bootstrap. That's what bootstrapping's all about. You know, if you can't afford like $1,000 to get a handful of first prototypes up and running, well, you know, I mean,
our first assembly run was 5 times that. I mean,
well, I'd say you're paying too much. No, seriously. Like, if you're doing, you know, why can't you produce 5 or 10 boards, hand assemble them? Okay, don't get them production assembled, hand assemble them, then you sell those, and then you get bootstrapped. That's what it's all about. Seriously,
Dave, I have better things to be doing than soldering together production units. I own a Weller iron and a $20 Amazon hot plate.
Then you pay someone. I pay someone to hand assemble my prototype boards and my low production run boards, and they do it for $5 or $10 a board.
So let's talk about cost then. What is
it's pretty cheap? No, serious. You know, I'm being serious.
No, I mean, because maybe the BOM cost is higher for this thing. I mean,
that's the problem, right? Everyone thinks that they have to spend a shitload of money to get initial prototypes done. You don't. That's all I'm saying.
No, we built a dozen of these things by hand. Actually, Chris has one of them. Chris has the Revision 2 board with complete with its own bodge wire.
Mm-hmm.
And
awesome.
It's in his hands.
I have to send it back to him. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But no, we did this. We put them in the hands of people that would play with them and tell us what we were doing wrong. And it was awesome. But the thing is, that doesn't scale at all. There's no way to make that jump except over the course of years, from paying somebody $5 or $10 to put 4 parts on a single-sided board and selling hundreds of these things.
I disagree. Sorry. I've sold I've sold many hundreds of kits where I've still had them hand assembled by my guy in Melbourne at $8 a board or something. So cool. You know, and you can produce hundreds of items, and it costs you zero in terms of setup. Like, I've been trying to get this latest product actually machine assembled. It's taken me months and months, and I've got nowhere already. It's a pain in the ass, actually. Yeah, it's just so slow a process. I could have sent them to my hand assembler, and I would have had them done 2 months ago. But
we did this great house up in Bellevue, Washington. We can hook you up with.
No, I'm trying to keep everything local, thanks.
There it is.
Australian, you know. Yeah. There's my problem.
Yeah. Well, maybe there is something to that then about the hand assembling, the small run capacity. You know, like that.
There is. It's easy, quick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
there's no setup. You don't have to get a paste stencil. You don't have to wait for the machine to be available.
But you also can't design in 0402s and 0201 kind of things, right?
No, they pay you a hell of a. They charge you a hell of a lot more to hand assemble 0402s because they have to do it under the microscope. So
I'd believe that in a heartbeat. But I do know that we had less than a 2-week turnaround between when we shipped the parts to our assembly house and shipped them the boards after hand inspecting all of them. And it was 2 weeks till we had a big box of boards, and that was with a snowstorm.
Oh yeah, that's not surprising at all. I've just got a supplier who's just dicking me around. That's all.
Oh,
an assembler who's dicking me around.
Well, Australians, you can't do business with them, right?
Well,
no, it's certainly
you do have
quick
less
and easy.
options.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep it.
But we've talked about this on the show before, Chris. We've, is the best option to go for the Kickstarter, get all the money up front, and then do it, or do the bootstrapping, the small scale bootstrapping?
Well, let's ask the Kickstarter guy.
No?
So Ian's done a Kickstarter campaign, and what was the final funding, Ian?
It was $20,940 or $20,940.
Wow. Okay.
That was we were shooting for 6. So actually, Dave, we did the math, and it would have come out to $6,000 for the first run of however many boards we had originally shooted to produce. But we wound up making the Hackaday, the Adafruit, the Dangerous Prototypes blog circuit. Got some traffic from there. And then the educational crowd with which I know, they were super interested, and they have been. And we wound up tripling our goal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And at that point in time, we just said, oh, well, what now? I wound up taking a leave of absence from Olin College, and then shortly thereafter, my friend Kevin did the same. And we were full-time on development, prototyping, the works.
Excellent.
And after having started the Kickstarter with a early proof of concept and a UI mock-up and a render of our pre-beta board, and taking it all the way through a couple hundred unit production run and shipping them to customers and dealing with the unhappy people who haven't figured out how to compile the software or download it, or the happy people who are just ecstatic that they're now able to figure out more about the way the world works in a way they couldn't before. It's been a spectacular 6 months, and 6, 8, 9 months now.
See, and he's learned sales too. You heard the end of that. That turned right into a sales pitch. Did you hear that, Dave?
That's the thing. I heard.
That was good. That was good.
There's 2 advantages to Kickstarter as I see it. One is, you get the money up front so that you can actually go out and produce a large number off the bat.
Yeah.
And B is the advertising and promotion aspect, because Kickstarter is, flavor of the month, and there's people on there who just, search Kickstarter every day. Oh, what's the latest project? Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
And and it's
Look at any Apple themed
I know.
iPhone peripheral on Kickstarter. They all wind up walking away with $80,000, $100,000, $200,000.
I think one of them hit the $1 million, didn't it? Didn't one of those?
Yeah, actually, that was the watch band. That was the
TikTok watch band.
TikTok watch band, which I've got one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you should have said. I mean, you should have just said this was a way to interact with an iPhone. I mean, you just marketed it all wrong.
You did it wrong.
Well, won't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
Won't make that mistake again.
You should have said something like,
learned our
control.
Here's an extra board that can control your SMU from your from your iPhone.
Oh yeah, you would have broken through that goal even faster.
But developing for Apple is not high on our to-do list. Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Developing hardware for Apple.
Right.
I think you need to incorporate the $3 chip that just has the public key on there.
Really?
Oh yeah, they have some sort of cryptographic signing of their hardware peripherals.
Oh, really?
Yikes.
Okay.
I probably horribly bungled that, but you get the idea.
There's some kind of cost, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know it was like that. I thought you could just stick a device on there. Oh, okay.
This is Apple we're talking
I
about
know.
here.
That's,
right.
Well, I was hopeful.
Right.
I respect them a lot, and in fact, I'm talking to you guys now on my MacBook Air, but no, they make it a pain for their developers.
So what about
bad.
the Kickstarter process? I mean, I'm curious about this because I'm sure some of our listeners would be as well. Just from, I mean, was there really any hassle to it, or was it just kind of a percentage off the top at the end and dump all the money in an account?
So here's how it went. We put together an application. We sent in the application. We were accepted. A month later, we had finished our render and our cutesy little promo video.
Which is key, by the way. People should know that.
Oh, the video was top. Yeah, the video was huge. I did the audio. Kevin's brother Brian did the render, and Kevin did the video. It was a team project right there.
Yeah.
But once with the video, the couple of paragraph write up, we just sort of hit the go button, ran it for 30 days, and 30 days later, after it hitting Hackaday and whatnot, we collected our $20,000 minus the Kickstarter 5% minus the Amazon 4%. And
what's the Amazon 4%? What's that?
So Amazon is the payment processor.
Everybody wants a piece.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
But Amazon was the crew that collected the credit card numbers, and Kickstarter really couldn't work without that big name behind. Well, I suspect that people would be a lot more nervous giving their credit card information to Joe's Fund It Yourself crew versus Kickstarter backed with Amazon.
Right.
Right. But that's 9% off the bat.
Yeah. Oh, no, they have a spectacular business model. You win, they win more. Because that's 9% off the top for providing service and PR.
Yeah.
This is essentially what it comes down to. And when you have in the past month, we've had 3 projects break $1 million.
Oh yeah, some past 2 or 3 million now, but those are software projects, same.
That's some sweet commission there.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. No, the Kickstarter guys, they must just be high
sitting
fives
on
in the
a
hallway.
chair, a throne of cash.
Yep.
As Chris calls it.
Throne of cash, smoking cigars. Yep, absolutely.
$100 bill light ups, right? Yep.
Well, no, it's their team has managed to do something awesome, which is really empower people like me to do things that they want to do while making money off the top.
Yeah.
Can I make a clarification to that? They empower Americans only.
That is a good point. Yeah.
It is, and it's freaking annoying.
Although there are other options,
it is ridiculous in today's global economy. It is absolutely ridiculous to limit it just to Americans.
I'm pretty sure that's an Amazon payment processing stipulation.
And there's the problem. There's your problem right there. Bloody Amazon,
if you look at people like, I guess Indiegogo is one of the other big competitors. Mm-hmm. They bluntly they don't have the same audience. They don't have the same numbers. They don't have the same crowds. You don't get as many high-profile projects.
But the thing is, I find, I didn't even know Amazon were connected to Kickstarter, so it doesn't really matter who they use. I'm not going to go, I'm going to use Kickstarter because they're affiliated with Amazon. I don't.
So here's the counterpoint. My grandpa backed me, and a couple of his friends who I had met. They're all retired government engineers back from 50s and 60s. My grandpa still reads funding grant applications recreationally.
Whoa!
And my grandpa's pretty awesome. But his friends would not have backed us if we didn't have a name that they recognized there.
Yeah.
They have been raised with the internet as that unknown place full of creeps and ripoffs.
Right.
And you don't want to just walk around handing out your credit card information. I mean,
I know few people who are paranoid like that anymore. It's just
really?
Not an issue. Yeah, it's not an issue anymore as far as I'm concerned.
Dave needs to call his grandparents more often.
But that's the thing is, we're not another hot iPhone peripheral. We wanted to make high-level concepts accessible to people with a computer. You don't need the beige box with 60 buttons anymore. You need a web browser and a USB port. So here's an example. RepRap, I believe it was Dr. Adrian Boyer himself. Bowyer, I probably messed his name up there too. But they ran an Indiegogo campaign to get a bunch of their Huxley kits made. They did fine. I mean, their audience was familiar with Indiegogo. It was indie. And they weren't going for the whole mass appeal. They were going pretty much strictly for people who were okay sitting there for a weekend bolting together stuff.
Right. Yeah. And they probably had people already coming in from outside sources as opposed to people that were already sitting on Kickstarter looking for new projects to fund and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sort of engineers who are okay screwing kits together, they weren't our target audience. We didn't offer a solder your own C together kit. We offered bare PCBs just for sort of a token thanks for your $20. Or we offered assembled PCBs for people who wanted to save some money and save us some hassle. And then we offered the final unit with the laboriously hand-assembled, cut acrylic, aluminum washers. You get the idea. Rubber feet. Yep. With a whole getting started kit with a whole $2 of components and nice jumper wires. Yeah, I know.
Score, yeah.
So, you know, we weren't going for the kit makers. And, you know, I guess that's why we call ourselves a startup rather than a couple of guys selling kits, because we're not selling kits.
Right.
So, Dave, when you make that transition, you'll finally be a startup there, Dave, right? As soon as you sell the final USB power supply, right? Or whatever it is, the battery power supply.
I just don't like the term. It's just too overused, I think.
Yeah, it's absolutely... So, yeah, it's absolutely overused. Having run a little bit in that circle, I mean, being flown out to Palo Alto, going to a hot tech college right next to a hot business college, I mean, everybody wants to start a startup and write an app. And everybody wants to get rich quick.
Right.
Yep.
And startup has been romanticized as a way to get rich quick.
Yep.
I mean, we had a web bubble in the late 90s, early noughts. We kind of have another one now, an app bubble, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
So a couple more years till the hardware bubble, or is that 30 years past us?
No, because it'll never be a bubble because you've got something tangible.
Exactly. It doesn't...
You know,
I don't know. I would like to think that with companies. Well, we now have Hexcelerator, a startup accelerator built as such, where they want to fund hardware companies. They want to give hardware companies $15,000 to $20,000 to come spend some time in China and work from their idea to a mass production run in a couple of months.
Yep, we've mentioned them on here a couple times, and
we were actually we applied, we were accepted. We wound up turning them down because we have customers and we need to be in the same time zone as them.
Yep.
But I would like to think that there's now going to be a backlash to the trivial get rich quick startup feel, and we're going to see more people doing hardware, more people doing things that matter, taking on hard problems with technically non-trivial solutions. That would make me happy.
One of the big differences between a hardware and software startups in this case is that software, you write your app, right? It takes you a month to write your little app and you get rich instantly, but anyone else can come along in that same month who's smarter than you and write a better app and instantly wipe out your market overnight. That's the problem.
Yeah, sure.
So whereas hardware is different. You spent 6 months, 12 months developing this product. It's someone's not going to come along easily and knock you off your perch.
Except for the fact that all our designs are on GitHub.
Well, that's the open source hardware side of things.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's the open source hardware thing, isn't it? That is the risk. Anyone can take your files and go and compete directly against you. They shouldn't, because that's one of the unwritten rules of open source hardware is you don't do that. You're a douche if you do that. You're legally allowed to do it. But
talking to VCs, everybody wants to know how we're protecting ourselves, where's our IP.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're not playing the game at nearly as much as we did it. We were curious, and we found out that we don't like it.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, we have a lot of... The way that it's done right now is it's all about owning something. It's all about monetizing something. It's all about screwing over your users to make $1. I'm just going to be blunt and wrong there. There are a lot of exceptions to that.
Of course.
But when it comes to pitching anything open to anyone who wants to give you money to take it further, there's the risk of people ripping you off and walking away with your freshly acquired $2 million of VC funding is too big for a lot of the old hats and the old guard to play.
Yep.
So, that's all right. To be honest, our designs are under a Creative Commons non-commercial license. So you actually have to talk...
so you're not allowed to call it open source hardware then? No, you're not, is the answer.
That's okay. He's right, because
seriously,
he
you are not
went
allowed
on
to
about
call
this for hours.
Yeah, you are not allowed, if it uses the non-commercial license, you are not allowed to call it open source hardware. I'm serious. That is one of the rules. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, we changed it when we were talking to people who wanted to give us money to put our devices in schools. We can probably change it back.
Right.
But I've had people look at our schematics and try and build versions of the C just because we had a nice reference design for the ATX mega chip. I am happy with the extent to which we're playing by the rules, and I feel that by playing by the rules to the extent we have, we've made the world a better place. So
yeah, and
but if you're calling it open source hardware, if you're using the logo or something like that, then you're not playing against the rule, not playing with the rules.
Okay.
Because seriously, it must be non-commercial license. You must not be able to use the non-commercial license.
Not be.
So please stop if you are doing that. If you're using the open source hardware logo, you will get frowned upon in the industry, and your name will be mud. So
one thing we should mention too about that specific device is there are a couple other layers there too. I mean, it's not just straight hardware, right? So it's not.
Oh yeah.
There are
hardware and software. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is, from an IP perspective, I mean, there are, and that's really how you do it in open source hardware. I think is that you have more layers in terms of firmware, in terms of software in this case, and that actually that becomes another part of your competitive advantage, right? You don't necessarily need to lock it all down, right? But
well, our software is all GPL. We're all under GPL v3. It is what it is, and we will take that under advisement.
So another startup term.
Right, take it under advisement.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see anywhere on your website that you're actually using the open source hardware logo.
We have the gear on our circuit board.
Oh, you do? Then
we do.
No, seriously, you're not playing by the rules at all. Go to the open source hardware group, and they specifically mention you must not choose the non-commercial license. Otherwise, you are to remove the symbol from your board. So, bit of friendly advice there. Yes, if people find out, they will. Yes, you will not be popular. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot of people, hack our software. We actually have a patch in our publicly distributed code that slightly modifies the user interface. So, which.
Yeah, I mean, your design is open. You're just not allowed to call it open source hardware.
Yeah, well, that's
and use the logo. You can call it open. It's an open design, all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
The industry has decided that those are the rules.
Well, in the next batch of boards I ship out, I'll make sure to sit there with a piece of sandpaper,
some acetone,
and rub them off. Excellent, thank you. Yeah. Because see, a lot of people don't notice this sort of thing. They don't notice these small details, but it's a very important thing. So it's a very important part of the ethos of open source hardware. Is that there's no exceptions. You must be completely free and open, which means people are allowed to compete with you.
Which is what Dave is really saying, is he got yelled at for this after fighting the point for a while, and now he's finally come around. That's what he's really trying to say.
I finally yeah, I mean, no, I see, I'm in agreement with Ian here that, you can release a product that's open and everything else, and you can use the non-commercial license, and I'm fine with that. I see advantages to some people who, if they want to get venture capital or something like that, they might have to do that. But using the open source hardware logo, I now agree that you shouldn't do that unless you are non-commercial.
So we've had that logo on there since before it was public. Yep. I mean, since before the logo was decided on. We left it on there.
You guys picked it?
Because nobody noticed, because I don't see anywhere on your site where you're putting the license that you actually, where it says non-commercial under there. It's buried away, obviously, somewhere, right?
I mean, go to GitHub. It's under...
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, everything is in GitHub. Where licensing belongs and where source belongs. All schematics.
Oh yeah, there
and
it
board
is.
layouts for
Creative
this
Commons
project are on a
BYNCSA. Yes.
Yep.
That's right. So, sorry.
Why,
Please
thank
remove
you very
this
much. Yep.
So I had a question in terms of some recent news. We had talked on the show before about the Jobs Act, which is a piece of U.S. legislation that opens up the startup, whatever marketplace you want to call it. Basically, now startups can be funded by up to 100 people at $10,000 a pop, and they can get a piece of equity in the company. You can actually, say it's actually like a small share stock ownership.
So this is a government thing.
Yeah, well, This is a change in regulation in the U.S.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my question is it better? Is that kind of thing better, or is the Kickstarter model better, or is none of those better? I mean, maybe it's something else kind of thing. I mean,
tell me the details about this jobs thing again. Who can put money in? How much do you have to give up equity in your company?
So interestingly, in the U.S. for the past however many years, since like the 30s, I believe, in order to invest in a company, you either had to be a family member, or you had to have, in order to be an angel investor, you have to have $1 million net worth, not including your house.
Oh, really?
As far as I know, and that don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And what they're basically saying now is they're extending the terms in startups. So before it was like when you got to 500 investors in startups, even angels, I believe, you had to
go public.
You had to, at least change your registration with the SEC, which is a regulatory body. Now that's 1,000. You can get certain amounts of funding now. So basically, the whole idea behind this is. Well, the whole idea is it's an election year. That's the main thing. But the thing that I'm excited about it is that any small startup can get up to $1 million in funding in $10,000 increments from small investors. So you and me, anyone not worth $1 million, because I'm definitely not worth $1 million, I could invest $10,000 into Ian's startup if he was taking money. And then I could get some portion of, whatever the terms are in terms of stock ownership. And
right. So the company can determine what amount you give away for your $10,000.
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
Well,
okay, cool.
If that was the case, I could have sold a share to my dad for his parental 2% in exchange for backing the Kickstarter campaign.
Right.
But without Kevin here, we would not have gone that route.
You're saying if Kevin was there, you would have?
Right? That gets really ugly because then they have to get a percentage of your royalties right up front. Like, how does that just gets messy? It's been half your business time just playing with the finances and crap. So,
yes.
Oh man.
Well, right now we're in.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, right now we're an LLC, and I'm almost positive that the Jobs Act won't let you play by LLC rules and take and sell stock.
Right. Yeah. Usually you have to go to an S corp or C corp to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and that greatly increases your amount of paperwork.
Oh yeah. Yes, definitely.
That's like here, I guess. An LLC is similar to my sole trader here. I'm a sole trader. Yeah. I am not a proprietary limited company, which is another step in paperwork and liability
hassle.
And all that sort of stuff. Hassle. Yeah, exactly.
So an LLC is a limited liability company. My understanding of the term is that.
Oh, okay.
Is that we're.
Well, no, that's where I'm a sole trader. I have full liability at the moment
because it's
all on my personal income tax. Yep. I would have to, if I want limited liability, I have to step up to a proprietary limited company, what it's called here.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Well, the company Nonolith Labs is a tax pass-through for Ian Danaher and Kevin Mihal.
Yeah.
And,
if there's two people involved, you automatically have to form a company. You can't do it as a sole trader here.
Okay. You can actually do partnerships in the States.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can do partnerships here too, but I think very few people do that as an option.
Yes, that is my understanding as well.
Anyways, the thing that excites me about the Jobs Act is that I think it's going to push a bunch of cash into startups, and I think it's going to be a good thing personally. But I was just wondering if that was available, if you guys would have taken that kind of thing, or if Kickstarter still would have been the way to go, or
just. I think Kickstarter would have been the way to go.
Kickstarter's great. With Kickstarter, you're responsible for clearly communicating your expectations. and you are responsible for endeavoring to meet those until you deliver products to people's hands. That's
probably the only disadvantage of Kickstarter is that you have to produce. You've taken people's money up front, and you're going to have people emailing you, right, saying, "Where's my kit? Where's my kit?" That's the disadvantage.
I love it. We had all our development.
He wants your emails, people. Just send him an email. Say, "Where's my kit?" Even if you didn't order one.
Yeah,
he
loves it.
No, I genuinely like talking to our customers, and we only had one person say, "Hey, what's going on?" The people that are kind of alpha geek will follow us on GitHub. The people that are socialites will follow us on Twitter. If they want to know exactly, if they want to know exactly what the status of their product is, they can see how many hundreds of commits we've pushed in the past month, and then they'll be happy.
Yeah,
I mean, we took a straight up transparent development cycle here, and it made people happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror stories though. You hear people, I just got hassled every day from hundreds of people.
Yeah. There was one recently about a dicey a drone project
DIY
actually.
Drones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh right.
Well, not affiliated with the organization, but yes, a do-it-yourself drones project.
Right.
Where the people responsible had unmet obligations in their personal business and were trying to just skip out and start a Kickstarter campaign to bring in some cash.
I didn't hear that part. I knew that they promised all this stuff that wasn't really plausible either. That's what ended up canceling it, right? Because Kickstarter is centrally vetted. The people vet it at the Kickstarter headquarters, and that would just slip through, and they canceled it later. So
Well, because it'd be very technical. So unless they know about the business, that particular drone business or electronics or whatever it is, they can't know if something's truly feasible or not.
That's true, yeah, unless they have in-house experts.
There were these glasses, right? There were these. Didn't we talk about this on the show? There were these recording glasses, and I just called bullshit straight away. There's no way you can produce something electronics and HD video and record in a battery and everything that small to fit in those glasses for that price.
Right.
It was just not going to happen, and of course it didn't. So,
well, there's a project right now, the IV voltmeter or something.
Yes,
that I'm personally a little skeptical about. I would love to see them deliver.
Yeah.
Okay. What's it called?
Bluetooth Kickstarter. It's a Kickstarter project. It's a Bluetooth DVM. It's like 3.5 digits.
Oh,
they're trying to get to like $65,000. It looks. I'm not very impressed.
They're going for $65,000, and they're going to sell them through the Kickstarter campaign for $40 plus shipping.
Yeah.
Check it out. If the guy, his previous claim to fame was he produced a keyboard organizer, a flip-up keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually, there's a lot of DFM that went in, design for manufacture that went into that. He probably has a lot of the right skills. The price point just has me a little. Well, I'm not going to go on record.
Oh,
so.
Okay. It's the I voltmeter.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah. And what are those contacts on the end of it? They're like these weird looking.
It's a bad render.
They're actually banana plugs. Okay.
I mean, they're showing banana plugs plugging in, but I mean, I think it's just a bad render.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And they reckon they can produce this for $40. Do they? Is that the?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
we will see. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Eventually, it's
it's going to retail for $60. That's what they say.
65, I think. Right. Yeah.
With $5 shipping. Okay.
Yep. It'll be interesting to watch them because, I would very much like a $65 Bluetooth voltmeter.
Well, there's not much hardware in that.
No, there's not. You can
an amp, a Bluetooth chip, and maybe a micro.
As long as you can get that. Well, there's that custom. There's a custom LCD there.
There's a custom. There's a custom plastic
enclosure.
Yeah, and that's going to have to be custom injection molded. But on top of that, you have the way cheap Chinese voltmeters work is they are all ASIC based. You have a epoxy blob in there with some supporting passives.
That's how they can sell it for $5.
Right.
Exactly.
Retail.
And that's kind of the direction that I think he's using to rationalize his price point.
Oh.
And I'm going to be really uneasy seeing that ASIC or seeing an ASIC integrated with Bluetooth and an external micro at the scale that he's going to be producing these at.
Yeah, that's a huge risk. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. Anyway,
speaking of the case, actually, I was going to ask you your C design. Okay, tell us about the case because you've just got like a base. Like, is it a metal base?
All right, so
is it a metal base with a clear heart? If people haven't seen it, we'll put up a link or a photo. But it's it's like a transparent, flat, clear top on it.
Looks like acrylic, right? I mean,
it's acrylic, right?
It is acrylic. So
that's what I was after.
What it is we actually contracted with a local Ohio company. By the way, the whole C was made in the United States, made and assembled in the States.
Awesome.
Outside of chips and board, but everything else was local. There was a company up 4.5 hours north of me that did all the laser cutting and screen printing for us. Mm-hmm. And then there's a picture, I'll have to send it to you guys. There's a picture of Kevin and I sitting down with 1,000 rubber feet. We hand inserted a 5/16 inch bolt into a rubber foot, and we did this 1,000 times.
Oh yeah. Feeling the pain, huh?
On top of that, we threaded, 8 or 10,000 bolts onto screws, because the actual stack for the C, it's a rubber foot with a bolt in it, a piece of laser cut acrylic, a nut to hold everything together and stand off, the actual C circuit board, and then a 5/16 inch aluminum spacer that elevates the top pretty printed acrylic above our circuit board. So it's a great design. And
did you find that was cheaper though? It was a cheaper solution.
Cheaper than what?
Than an off-the-shelf case.
Oh,
so for example,
like a base box, with a button on it.
We could have gone that route, but part of the difference between doing the whole kit thing and the startup thing is we had a look and we had a durability. And I can actually stand on my C. And I've done chemistry with it, and it survived dilute solutions of hydrochloric acid floating around, and it's a pretty durable design. It's not sealed on every side, but it is mechanically resistant and splash proof. I like it.
Cool. My latest project, actually, which nobody's seen yet, it's actually going to use a similar approach, but I'm actually using an off-the-shelf or half of an off-the-shelf case as the bottom, and then I'm putting the clear acrylic on top of that. So it's just a square cut piece of acrylic, and then I use the existing mounting holes in the case to mount the actual clear cover on it, and then the circuit board goes inside that. So
that's awesome.
And then I halve my cost because I'm using an off-the-shelf case. It actually comes in 2 symmetrical halves.
There you go.
So you actually get 2 for the price of 1. So you just open it up rather than using the one case, because I need to see through to an LCD. So that's why I need the clear
plastic
case, you see.
Yeah.
So, and then you don't have to cut out any windows or anything like that. So you're saving manufacturing costs there and stuff like that. So, yeah, I do like projects with the clear acrylic top on them. They're
right.
Really
plus,
groovy.
you get the blinky light kind of
and
look
you can get lights
it.
through, and you don't have to meet up mounting holes or anything. And they're cheap, right? To get a laser cut piece of acrylic is pretty darn cheap and easy. So
what I did I actually exported the silkscreen layer from our board into a high-res PNG. I uploaded it to Flickr, and then I went ahead and annotated every part on the board. So you can go online right now and look at a line drawing of our circuit board.
I've seen
and get a description of what every part on there does. And that's a level of detail that we think sort of adds to the overall experience. I mean, you want to learn a little bit about op amps, you can learn a little bit about op amps, or email us to learn more.
Oh, so careful with that one, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Chris, just go ahead and edit that one out.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah, I'm sure I'll do that.
I noticed that you're using the microchip MCP4922 DAC
I knew,
on there.
So Kevin was actually in town in my hometown of Cincinnati when we were bolting these together, and we were listening to the amp hour, and we just kind of looked at each other and laughed when you started railing against that. Yeah.
Because it's not that great a DAC. It's pretty dodgy. In one of my videos, I actually measured it, and it wasn't that great.
Okay.
So
we've actually been fairly pleased. The linearity meets spec. I mean, we're only operating at about 1%.
Yeah, its spec is a bit loose though. That's the issue.
But
so you know what you're getting if you believe the spec. So
okay.
But it certainly doesn't perform much better than spec. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So,
but it met the need we needed. or it did what we wanted, and it has continued to do what we wanted reliably. So it's a good part for the job. We've been tossing around a couple of ideas for our next version, and there's actually an internal DAC in the X Mega. One of the questions I've gotten a couple of times is why didn't it use the internal DAC? And it turns out that if you pay close attention to the Atmel data sheet, there's a 41 millivolt offset in that DAC. And so kiss your ground rail goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
trap for young players.
Indeed. I mean, this chip is a lot better than the last X Mega 32A4, where it was like a 410 millivolt offset.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, God, you can fly to the moon
Yeah,
on
but that's not.
410
There was just
millivolts.
other stuff on that chip. I mean, it wasn't like that. Wasn't like the. It's not like a DAC micro, right?
No.
I mean, it's just a throw it in kind of thing.
So I have to rant and rave about how much I love the X Mega chip on here.
And before you do, I should mention I actually had this on the list as a chip of the week at one point, so we can first call this the chip of the week because this is based on Ian's suggestion, this is what I'm designing into the board I'm working on too. So
all right, chip of the week right here, the ATX Mega 32A4U. It has full speed USB, a bunch of 12-bit ADCs, a pair of 12-bit DACs. And it's
Which are crap,
yeah.
Which are crap, yep, crap. But, if you needed to... Anyway. They're crap. So, and it has a bunch of glorious pulse width modulation and functionality, more timers than you know what to do with. I really like it. I have been pleased using it. It has made using it a pleasure. And so what more do you want from a chip?
Well, easy enough for an idiot like me to put it on a board. That helps too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like the specs as well. It's got 4-bit INL, I think, so it's pretty decent A to Ds. So
yeah, it's not hard to get a good analog to digital converter inside a micro, but it is hard to get a good DAC.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a good analog to digital converter at low cost outside of a micro. That's what we found.
Yes. Yep.
For some reason, the ADC inside the X Mega is cheaper than an ADC costing twice as much as the X Mega itself.
Yes, I know, it's crazy. It's.
I guess there's just a lot of inherent cost in the CMOS fab. That's all Kevin and I could come up with, was just that once you're actually building once you're doing photolithography to build your wafer, there's just money tied up there, and you got to alleviate the cost somehow.
I'd say it's more market-based, personally. I think that...
And it's a market-based
they're playing
thing.
into markets that are already established where they only need an ADC. So those are markets that the higher cost is just built in, right? So industrial markets...
Or they're using an existing micro that they have to use for historical reasons or for other reasons.
Yeah, so that's just priced in.
And they need a nice... And also, external precision ADCs are actually going to be superior to the one inside. But they cost a hell of a lot more.
Absolutely.
So
overall,
there are limits to what you can get with an ADC on a micro.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking of good value, Dave, what's this about the? You put a piece of test equipment. I mean, Ian, effectively, this is test equipment, right? I mean, it's.
Of course, it's testing.
So
low end test equipment.
Passionately dislike the C being called test equipment.
All right.
Rubbish.
No, we can't talk about this now, Dave. Sorry.
So I know. the term here that I've personally fond of using.
Oh wait! Start
educational
guy kicking
tool.
in. Here we go.
Let me guess.
Okay, Cavalier instrumentation. Cavalier instrumentation.
Yeah. What sort of wank ass term is that?
That's
Cavalier instrumentation.
A VC term right there.
That is, I know. Chris and I are in agreement for once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, you guys. Well,
Cavalier
that's a wank word.
Right. Well,
wank word of the week, folks.
No, that's like
thrown down, Stallman. All right. Well,
how to insult your guest 101.
Yeah,
right. we do it well, don't we, Chris?
Oh yeah, we're good at that.
Well, it's cool, but no, it's the sort of thing you throw down to learn more about something, to develop high level understanding of how stuff works. It's not the sort of thing that you would go to curve trace your transistors coming off the line to make sure they meet spec. I use the earlier prototypes of the C to debug the prototypes that we're now shipping, or the versions we're now shipping. So that's about as close as it gets to test equipment.
Yeah, I was gonna say test equipment that measures other equipment is usually test equipment.
But
it's test equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
okay,
Dave, you had a piece of new gear you wanted to mention on here real quick.
Oh, it's the Rigol are coming out with a new 2000 series. Everyone's been waiting for an update to the 1000 series, which has been out for like 4 years now or something. It's dominated the market, the low-end market.
Yeah.
But, Rygov now announced the 2000. You can't buy it yet, which is stupid. I hate this. When they announce these products, they announced it at some European electronics show or something. And you can't buy it, of course. It's not going to be out for at least another 3 months or 6 months, and then then only in specific regions or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, it's a 2000 series scope. And it looks really good. It's going to be under $1,000, and that's a hell of a lot of hardware for under $1,000. Big screen, the whole works. And here's one thing I really like: 500 microvolts per division vertical front end. I haven't seen one of those for donkey's years.
Oh yeah, that's like that 22 whatever scope that the old tech scope.
It's like the tech. Yeah, it's like the tech analog scope that I did a rant on a while back. Yeah. And is this going to start a trend in low noise floor oscilloscope front ends? I certainly hope so.
No, it's not actually. They're going to keep going faster.
Why
not? Why not? Because it's not many people ask for it. I think. I mean, but if you get it on a sub $1,000 scope now, it might push the bigger manufacturers to start including 500 microvolts per, because you can't go much lower than that because just the inherent noise floor of the front end, you just can't do it with the high bandwidth and the 1 megohm input impedance and that sort of stuff. So, but still, I like it. It's got like a big 8-inch WVGA screen. It's got all the USB and triggering stuff, and it's going to be really cheap. So they've upped the ante to what you can get in a basic scope these days. Yeah.
Looks absolutely incredible, and I'm hoping to get one.
Yeah.
In fact, I have been promised one, so...
So that person better come through.
So, yeah, they better come through. Otherwise, they'll be hell to pay.
Yeah. You know,
I think it's amazing what you get these days for the money.
Yeah.
It's just, this is a serious bit of kit which you couldn't even dreamed of 10 years ago for getting under $10,000. Now it's, under $1,000. It's all it's hobbyist level.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I mean, I bought a Android phone with like a 400 megahertz CPU for $100 without a contract.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I know.
Tech is getting cheap. It's nice that test equipment tech is getting cheap, too.
It is getting cheap as well.
Yeah.
And it's got 14 meg of sample memory, for goodness sake, at 2 gig samples.
I bet you it's pulling, like, the screen is probably a cell phone display.
Yeah, it's getting there, right?
I mean, it has to be reusing COTS.
Maybe a tablet display, probably, because it's 8 inch.
It's a tablet, probably a tablet display.
8 inch, okay.
That.
It makes you wonder because, like bringing it back to the C, right? I mean, C is browser based, and I think a lot of, like, on the scope side of things, there's like Picoscope and a lot of those out there. Anytime I see those, though, I'm like, whatever. Like I've never really thought those were good.
They're a dime a dozen.
Well, they are, right? But I wonder if these low cost manufacturers continue to put these screens on there just because there is that resistance to it, right? I mean, like, personally, I think that, like, when people see the implementation of the C on the screen, I think it's a really quite a brilliant way to look at data. I mean, I really like that a lot, especially SMU data or SMU data. I've seen a lot of that, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of people that they probably test in the markets and they're like, well, no, they want a screen on it still, so.
Well, personally, I would love to get a nice AFE with some SRAM and a high-speed USB bus, and just have an open Python library or LabVIEW, take your pick, and be able to throw around the data from a quality, Tektronix-made analog front end. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that USB scopes are going to stay cheap and dime a dozen.
Right. Well, that's a pricing it for your market kind of thing again, right?
Yeah. But
they're two different markets. They're two entirely different markets. You have PC-based stuff, and you have bench scopes.
Why are they different markets? Because
you save a fair bit of cost not having all that, because there's margin as well which has to go on top of this. You save a lot of money on those knobs and those screens and everything else, and just having the interface and the fact that they're usually much slower, but you can do continuous sampling. You can do data logging and stuff like that, which you can't traditionally do with a bench scope. So if you're just using a regular oscilloscope, you don't want to use a PC-based one because they're just annoying, a pain in the ass.
They're annoying and a pain in the ass because nobody with serious design talent has figured out how can we make this nice for our users. I mean, that's not the priority. It's how do we expose the functionality our users expect with a web-based paradigm.
The fact that it's on a PC, you've got a PC and a box, and your PC might be can't sit the PC on your bench. It's just not convenient. That's why people prefer bench scopes for general troubleshooting because it's all in one dedicated box. You don't have to worry about it booting up or anything.
When was the last time you saw a MacBook Air?
But who the hell has a MacBook Air in their lab, for God's sake?
I think a proper tablet or a laptop
this is
or a
why,
netbook.
I'm telling you why the two markets exist, because USB scopes are cheap and they're a way to get data logging and multi-channel capability. So if you want data logging and multi-channel, it makes sense to go to a PC-based scope. It doesn't make sense to use a bench scope, and bench scopes don't try and offer those sort of functionalities. Right? They don't offer your 8 channels. They don't offer your continuous sampling and stuff like that. It's better to use a PC and stream data to your hard drive. Okay? But bench scopes are designed as traditional troubleshooting. There's no way in hell anyone can argue that USB scopes are superior to bench scopes for general purpose troubleshooting. You're not going to win.
Yeah, I never argued that. I'm just saying that if the scope manufacturers decided to build an analog front end complete with the bare basics of what an oscilloscope is, some way of capturing information and showing it to a user and moving it back and forth, that it would be awesome, because right now, instead of every university lab ever where a student is sitting there with a laptop, their phone, and then their oscilloscope, their power supply, their function generator, all these beige boxes sitting next to a machine that has 10 times the processing power of the rest of them combined, you would just have a much cleaner user experience where you have one...
That's education, though. That's a different environment.
Okay. Well, I know education best. I like learning, I like teaching, so I'll stick to what I know.
I think there's a place in the lab too. I mean, I think the thing that we're looking at here is that it is a established market, right? I mean, like, this is what Dave's talking about, what people expect, and Ian's talking about what could be in the future, right? And I think that if
I know it makes sense in the educational thing. I totally agree. But it doesn't mean, bench scopes are suddenly going to vanish.
And I've talked about the whole tablet thing before as well, but obviously that's been poo-pooed by Dave.
There's another thing. There's another thing, but because everyone will be starting to take tablets into the classrooms now. They won't be taking notebooks anymore. They'll have freaking tablets, right? Because they're more convenient. They're smaller and all that jazz. So...
I think there's room for it personally, Ian. So you go and make that, and we'll have you back on the show when it's done.
I totally agree.
Get that 2 gig of sample front end done, and we'll talk about it on the show.
Yeah, USB 3.0, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely need that.
Alrighty.
Anything else for the week? I think our amp hour's up.
Yeah. All right.
As usual, we didn't get through anything on our list, so maybe next week.
My hour and 15 minutes of
when we have a
fame is cloning. Yeah. Closing out. Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it was good talking to you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Have a great one.
And we hope... Oh, no, I've got one more question.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll stick around.
How many Cs have you shipped now?
We've shipped a few hundred.
All right.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, so people can find Ian on Twitter at ITDanaher. You can find the company Nonolith Labs on there as well. You can find me on there at Chris_Gamble, Dave at EEVblog, and the show at The Amp Hour. Also on Google Plus and Facebook and everywhere else.
MySpace?
No MySpace. Friendster, though.
Damn, we're missing a social media golden opportunity here, Chris. We should be on MySpace.
Yep.
Well, as the T-shirts of the MySpace personnel running the event yesterday said, MySpace is dead, long live MySpace.
Nice.
Well.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Well, we'll talk to you guys next week.
We will. See you.
See you.